You ever get told you're nothing by the people who are supposed to love you most? Yeah, that was my family. My name's Daniel Reyes, and I used to believe family was everything, until mine showed me that sometimes family isn't the people who share your blood. It's the people who believe in your worth. I grew up in a small house that never really felt like home. My stepfather, Mark, used to remind me daily that I was dead weight. He'd say, "You're a grown man and still haven't figured your life out. You're useless." My mom stayed quiet. Always. She'd look away, afraid of starting another argument. I could see the guilt in her eyes, like she wanted to defend me but didn't dare. Every night I promised myself that one day I'd leave that house and prove them wrong. But when the day finally came, it wasn't on my terms. It was theirs. I'd just lost my job. The company I worked for shut down without notice. I was struggling to pay rent and moved back home temporarily, just until I got back on my feet. I thought family was supposed to help when life knocked you down. But a week later, Mark barged into my room, tossed my things into a box and said, "Get out. You've been nothing but a disappointment. You're not part of this family anymore." My mom stood there, tears in her eyes, whispering, "Please, not like this." But he didn't listen. And that night, I walked out of the house with one suitcase, no money, and no place to go. That kind of pain, it burns something into your soul. The humiliation, the anger, the silence. I promised myself I'd never forget that moment, and I didn't. For a long time I slept on couches. I took any job I could find, dishwashing, deliveries, even cleaning offices at night. But deep down I had one dream: to build something of my own, to make my name mean something. I started learning everything about property, renovations, and design. I watched videos, took free online courses, volunteered on construction sites. Anything to learn the trade. I was obsessed, because every time I closed my eyes, I saw that moment. Mark's face, smirking as he kicked me out. If you've ever been told you're worthless, let me tell you something. That's not your truth. That's their fear talking. Comment, "I believe in myself," if you've ever been underestimated. Years passed. I saved every dollar I could. I started flipping small apartments, one by one. Fixing, selling, reinvesting. It took years, but slowly, it worked. By my early 30s, I had a small company called Reyes Restorations. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. We bought, renovated, and resold properties, and it was starting to grow. Then one day, I got a call from a real estate agent I knew. "Daniel," she said, "I've got a property that might interest you. Needs work, but the location's gold." I opened the email she sent and froze. It was my old house, the one they kicked me out of. Same address, same porch, same cracked window in the front. I stared at that listing for a long time, and something in me shifted. 10 years ago, I left that house broken. Now I had the chance to buy it. But the universe wasn't done yet. The next day, I found out the sellers were Mark and my mom. They'd fallen behind on mortgage payments. Mark's big investments had gone bad. Karma had finally come knocking, and I was holding the key. But what I decided to do next would change everything. I showed up to the open house wearing my best suit. Mark didn't recognize me at first. I'd changed. Gone was the skinny, timid kid he'd called useless. I was confident, successful, and ready. When he finally realized who I was, his face went pale. "Daniel?" "Hi, Mark. Been a while." He forced a laugh. "Didn't expect to see you here." "Yeah," I said. "Life's full of surprises." My mom came down the stairs, eyes wide. "Daniel, oh my God." I smiled softly. "Hey, Mom." She hugged me, and for the first time in years, I could feel her shaking. I could tell she wanted to say so many things, but didn't know where to start. Meanwhile, Mark jumped in. "Look, The market's tough right now. We're selling because we're downsizing. But if you're interested, we can talk numbers. I looked around the living room, the same place he'd thrown me out of. The floor still creaked in the same spots. The wall still had that dent from the night he slammed the door. I turned back to him. Yeah, I'm interested. Very interested. A week later, the deal closed. The house was mine. I didn't even negotiate. I paid the full price, because the satisfaction was worth every dollar. When the final papers were signed, I looked him in the eye and said, "Remember when you said I'd never be anything? Well, now I own everything you threw me out of." He didn't say a word, just looked down, humiliated. But I wasn't done yet. A month later, they reached out again. They needed a place to stay. The house they were moving into fell through. My mom sounded desperate. I couldn't ignore her. She was still my mother, even if she hadn't protected me back then. So I made a decision. I told her, "You can come stay for a bit." But when they arrived, I handed her the keys, not him. Mark frowned. "What about me?" I said. "You can come too, but there's rent now. You'll be paying me every month." He laughed awkwardly. "You're joking." I smiled. "No, I'm not. You wanted to be the man of the house, right? Then pay like one." That silence was worth 10 years of pain. My mom eventually started helping with my renovation projects. We rebuilt our relationship slowly. She told me one night, tears in her eyes, "I always knew you'd make it. I just didn't have the courage to stop him." And I said, "It's okay, Mom, because now we're both free." Mark didn't last long. After a few months of paying rent to me, he packed up and left. No goodbye, no apology. Just gone. But I didn't need one. His silence was the apology I'd been waiting for. The house became something new. I renovated it, turned the place that once broke me into a symbol of everything I overcame. And here's the twist most people don't know. When I bought the house, I found an old envelope hidden in the attic. Inside was my late grandfather's will, the original one. Turns out the house was supposed to be mine all along. Mark had lied years ago, manipulated my mom, and forged documents to keep it under his name. But fate had its own timeline. In the end, the house came back to the rightful owner, me. So yeah, they kicked me out for being useless. But now, every time rent's due, I get a reminder. The kid they threw out became the man who owns their story. If you've ever been told you will never make it, don't let that be your truth. Let it be your fuel. Drop a fire emoji in the comments if you believe karma always finds its way. And if you're new here, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications because this is English with Drama, where every story proves one thing. Revenge is temporary, but redemption lasts forever.